We're in the middle of a serious pandemic. More than 12,000 Americans have died as a result of coronavirus. And so many states have decided to postpone their primary elections for good reason. You don't want to encourage people to show up in person and vote. Now, unfortunately, Republicans got their way in the state of Wisconsin. They took this situation all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court even said that there's no extension for absentee ballots. It's a complete and utter disaster. And just to give you a sense of how ridiculous this all is, because people are being encouraged to risk their lives to cast their ballots, here is Assembly Speaker Robin Vos encouraging people to vote, saying it's safe. Just take a quick look at how this person presents the argument.
You are incredibly safe to go out.
So the Republicans have been conditioned to believe it's not that big a deal. So like lambs to the slaughter, they're led by the people like Voss to go vote in bigger numbers, and they are. So far, turnout looks like it's bigger in Republican areas. And whereas Democrats, most of them being decent people, go, whoa, I don't know that you should go out there and endanger your lives. So yeah, he's like, no, you don't have a hazmat suit. I don't even know if you have a mask. Most places don't have masks at all. I don't know that you've got gloves, but go vote for our politicians because our careers are more important than your life. That was the message that Voss was giving.
It seems like it. And look, we've been critical for weeks and weeks and weeks about how Fox News, especially, but also Trump, were increasing the odds that their base would become willingly exposed. You know, you could add, right-wing, televangelists and things like that to that as well, that they would be exposed and potentially die from the disease. And by the way, in terms of the effect on voting, we know that when Republicans try to stop people from voting, they generally do that in ways that are going to disproportionately affect Democrats, but they almost always are also going to affect Republicans. They don't ever really seem bothered by that if some of the people who, support them end up being disenfranchised as well. I think in this case, they probably think that the numbers are probably on their side, that it'll affect both. Both will be infected, both will die, but there'll probably be more Democrats in this particular election just because the stakes might be a little bit higher in terms of the Democratic primary. But yeah, it certainly doesn't seem to bother them if some of their own base becomes infected.
On the one hand, they shouldn't do what Boris Johnson did, and I think what Trump's doing. I think he's gotten lucky so far. I hope his luck continues. But Boris Johnson went around and shaking people's hands, even though the doctors and scientists were saying don't do that. He shook the hands of people who had coronavirus, thinking that he was Lady Di. But she did that with AIDS patients. But AIDS and coronavirus are not the same. Coronavirus is far more contagious. So you got coronavirus. And now he's in intensive care. And Trump is going around willy-nilly with tons of people in the room, shaking hands, touching the same mic in enclosed spaces. He's already tested negative twice. He probably thinks he has good genes or something. I think he's taking way too many chances. So I don't think that's the right way to go. On the other hand, you have this Voss character coming in and being like, no, it's good to vote, safe to vote. Go out there and vote for me. And he does it from like this enclosed cocoon. And he's like, I'm an important person. I'm not going to take any chances. And that's good. That's good if you're telling people to do likewise. But then he's turning around and saying, but you should risk your life. I want you to go out there and vote for my guys. And even though you don't have any of the privileges I have in being able to protect myself.
Among the Democratic candidates in this primary race, you have one candidate, Joe Biden, who is encouraging people to go out there and vote. And the other candidate, Bernie Sanders, is, he was urging the state to postpone the election, which to the credit of Governor Tony Evers, he attempted to do that. He called an executive order to postpone the election, and Republicans fought him tooth and nail and unfortunately won. But I think anyone who encourages people to risk their lives today or in any primary election, is being deeply irresponsible because as important as this election is, we should value human lives. And every year, this job just exposes you to more of human nature that makes you want to lose faith in humanity, because it just shows you how many people out there do not care at all about the lives of others if pushing something can benefit them politically, career-wise. You get the picture.
Yeah. So look, here's a super easy standard, guys. I want my parents to vote in every election, right? Would I send my parents to go vote? Would I advise them to go vote under these circumstances? The answer is so obvious. Like, hell no. Hell no. I wouldn't have Wendy go vote. I wouldn't vote. I'm not going to, well, I might go with a mask and gloves and stuff, but I wouldn't go anywhere. But if there's a line where we're standing next to each other, no. I'd get in and get out as quickly as possible. Would I send my parents? No way. If it was Bernie versus Trump and they held an election, I would not send my parents, if it was today, to go vote. So that means you shouldn't have an election. You're risking people's lives, and it's insanity. So will they be prosecuted? Of course not. Look, Tony Evers did something strong at the end and gave an executive order not to do the election in person. The courts overruled him because they're Republican and they're corrupt. But is he strong enough that if people get coronavirus from going to the voting polling areas and voting booths and get it and die, will he prosecute Republicans? He should. He should have the assembly leader, the guy you just saw, arrested. Will he? Of course not.
So I want to read a tweet, and then maybe we can discuss it. After that, we got to move over to our members-only portion of this coverage. You can become a member by going to tyt.com/join. Members help to keep us sustainable and independent. So thank you to them. We will be providing 30 extra minutes of exclusive coverage for you. But before we get to that, I do want to read this tweet and get your guys' thoughts. And Yet I Smile writes in and says, I know we've talked about how there's only 5 polling locations in Milwaukee today, but can we also mention how that literally equates to 1 location per 100,000 registered voters? Can't think of a more disparaging illustration. And I think that that's such a good point, Cenk, because I mean, you mentioned the importance of social distancing if you do choose to go out there and cast a ballot today, but it's nearly impossible to do that. I mean, when you consider how many polling places shut down because poll workers rightfully decided, hey, I'm not going to risk my life by showing up and working at a polling location. So all these people are getting jam-packed into the few polling locations that have remained open, and it's just a disaster situation.
To your point, Anna, there's no justice in the world. So if I was running elections and I had an opportunity to cram 100,000 Republicans into one voting area, and to do that across a city like Milwaukee, which would be a monumental disadvantage to the Republican Party, all things being equal, I would never do that. I'd want a fair election. But Republicans don't care at all. So they do it willy-nilly. They couldn't care less. So, and wrong forever on the throne, truth forever on the scaffold. And I hope Martin Luther King is right that scaffold sways the future, because it ain't swaying today.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.